Hey guys, it's Shay Seeking, and I'm here with another video. Um, this video I would like to do, try to breeze through real quick if I can, because I have a tendency of rambling. But what I want to say is, um, I want to start off and say, because this is why I started doing these videos, it's kind of like a daily journal vlog kind of thing, because it's just better for me to say things than trying to get stuff organized and get you to all these charts and everything in the show. Um, I just realized that if somebody is vibrating on that level, or you guys have are in tune to the same frequency, people are gonna learn from you, and you're gonna learn from them anyways. So, and then on another level, I have a lot of family and friends and people I went to school with on my page, and I know that some of the stuff that I put up, people are probably just looking like, what the hell is she talking about? So I just kind of wanted to start this year off by doing a couple of little videos to expound on things. And I just decided to take this road, so it could just be a little bit more um, easier for people to grasp if they're interested. So, okay. So I just want to start off and say, I I'm using this video for fair use. I'm just using the video for the content for educational purposes, and that this subject is that something that's really been bugging me, because I think that, not particularly this person, but I'm saying I think that the whole agenda, because usually um, things that are put on large platforms are some type of agenda to get some kind of outcome. So I say that to say I see this whole British black actors taking over Hollywood. These are their headlines or whatever. And I know there's a lot of stuff that they, mainstream media, entertainment, and all these other politicians, whatever they do, they put a little bit of truth in it and then put some falsities, or give you something, but they're taking something back. So in this thing, I noticed this movement going on for the past year or two. Um, if you got Hulu or Netflix, and you notice on the Netflix original movies, the actors and stuff are mainly British actors. It just seems like there's a swap, or there's a switch going over. Um, and that, to get back to this, this African Americans versus Africans platforms that have been popping up everywhere, and they seem to get a lot of friction. Um, I like that people are talking about things, but then on the other note, there is an indigenous movement that is the movement, in my opinion. I don't want you to think that you have to have that same opinion, but in my opinion, the only way that we are going to find out the only way we're going to change our condition is to get to the root of things. First of all, you need to know you standing on your own land. It's a different swag about you. It's a different way that you maneuver. It's a different way to that you think, and it's just something that is like the initiation into truth, that I think for all so-called black people that grandparents or family members might have told them that they had Indian in their family. I think that everybody should. I'm not all for doing all this paperwork and stuff, because we just don't got time for that. And I just think that there's something more spiritual and divine that's going on with this whole movement. So I think you just got to get right with yourself first. Say we were slaves, the way they say, and they did get reparations. It's not going to do anything for you. You need to know the source. You need to know how you end up in this situation, if you really came from this land or Africa. And you need to know all these things are very important. It's a spiritual thing, and it's something of power. So if they gave everybody reparations today, it wouldn't even mean nothing, because we haven't even gone into ourselves and checked that out first and worked out the issues that we have within. So at the end of the day, what I want to say here is, I don't dislike Africans. African women are beautiful women. They have a beautiful country. I think that maybe because so-called your because you've been fed the out of Africa theory, which is only a theory, it's not fact, it's not truth. They got a couple of men together, researchers, to see what they think, and they came up with using the term for out of Africa. But when it really applies, they really wanted to really apply only to dark skinned people. That's why they try to take the American Negro and turn him into an African American. But at the same time, you didn't turn Caucasians into Europe, African, because to me, there's America and there's Africa. But that's just me on like the most basic level you can get. There's the Americas and her islands, and then to me there is the Afro Eurasia over there. So at the end of the day, nobody, I'm not saying that we're better than anybody. I'm just probably saying that we're set apart. And I'm not saying that I hate Africa or that I wouldn't want to be African because of what they always say, that we don't want to be African because of the situation over there. Well, the situation in the hood is not that much more. Only we got so-called we have police officers and other people, CPS or what they call it, child services, and all these other people in our business on a daily basis with our kids and the conditions that we live in. So, you know what I'm saying? No African can come here and know the experience of a so-called African American, which are really the American Indians, right? Because, and I'm going to say that for anybody that doesn't know my page or whatever, that they told us that millions of Africans came over from Africa during the slave trade. That's not necessarily true. Only 250,000 or so Africans came to North America during the entire slave trade. Meaning, if you go back and you look at the slave trade, slavevoyages.org, I think that's where it is, net or org. You'll see the same numbers. I didn't make these numbers up. Those are the numbers. They just never thought that we would make it to the point where we start asking these questions. So the information has been there all along. We just never picked up the stick and ran with it. We have been too busy being entertained. So now they're looking for the next leader, and there will not be any, because this is a different type of movement. The leader that's leading this is the leader that you've been waiting on, but you thought he was going to be coming down here with some kind of white horse riding through the clouds. So that part is done. It's about to be a new era. It's about to be a new era, in my opinion. And the thing is, we have lost so much faith in ourselves that how you going to wait for anybody to come and do anything for you if we ain't even doing nothing to try to get to the truth or change our situation now? We're not seeing that some of these repetitive things that's been going on in generation after generation are not for us. They have been against us. You just been made to think that it was otherwise, and you've been given the perception of otherwise. And so that's the way that you're thinking. Now, when I say that to say, I'm not knocking Africans. Of course, I love my people. Of course, some of you could be connected to an African bloodline somewhere else, but mainly the people that they brought over here were men and young boys. A very small percentage of women, because America was a matriarchal society, and they brought them here to mate with the American women to take away their, and in some way, I don't know if this is a fact. This is just something I'm throwing out there. To either get them into the bloodline so they can use those bloodlines of darker view people and make you follow them thinking that they're your people and they're really not. Same way as they used white men that came here. I think white Caucasian, so-called Caucasian women didn't come here until around the time of the slave trade, when the 20 slaves showed up. I think it was 1619 or 1620 when the first official Caucasian women were supposedly came into America. But anyhow, up until then, white men and African men, I believe, is what they were using to breed with the women here. But on another note, we want to watch this video real quick. I just wanted to let you guys, give you guys a few pointers on where I'm coming from, and let you know that I'm not knocking any race of people. People are people. We all here now. We just need to figure out how we're going to maneuver from now on in the so-called I don't like that term, Afro-American community, or American Indians, also known as the American Indians. The history has been hidden, but there's still information that is there. You can go find the information just like I and several others have found. But I really feel like this whole African Americans versus African thing is to I think it's a, what do you call it? Distraction. And I think that what it's doing is pommeling over all the hard work that all the people that are in the indigenous community that's trying to bring forth the truth. I think that this kind of stuff is to cloud them out or smoke them out. And I think that that's just real messed up. It's just really real messed up. So anyway, we're gonna listen to this video. I said what I had to say before as my disclaimer. That I'm not coming from a hard place. I'm not saying I don't want to be tied to Africans because they black and American Indians are not. Because I think when we were younger, we would say, "Oh, my grandma said that we got Indian in our family." Say, "Oh no, look at the hair." So what Hollywood did was sold you on an image of what a Native American, meaning it's not a natural. These people are native. Native meaning they were native born and they're connected to the land because they came from somewhere and connected to the land. Indigenous, Aboriginal mean you're from autochthonous. I have a hard time saying that word, but those people are from the earth. They are from it. This is where they came from, and they weren't known to be anywhere else. So when I say that, we know that there's artifacts that have been found here that are older than the time that they say that Native Americans came here. So I'm not saying I'm Native American. I'm not saying I'm connected to people because they're light skinned and they have flowy hair. No, because I know that I've been done the research and I know that there were kinky, curly hair, dark skinned people that were here before or prior to 1492 is what I like to say. So on that note, let's go ahead and watch the video.
That you have a lot of
Oh, wait a minute. Let's go back. I'm just getting used to this whole thing. So let's go ahead and
Americans in like Igbo language and Yorubas, like Nigerians go akata. It's derogatory towards African Americans. It's like called cotton picker or whatever. And
that's what it's saying. Oh, kata, cotton picker.
Now, he said that it means... Oh, and also, guys, whenever you're watching anything or looking at anything, because I know we all have it, we have a portion of this discernment or this understanding that everybody does. Everybody's in different categories, but if you want it, and if you seek this from your ancestors in the spirit every day, you will be able to see the same things as what I think. I just don't know. But watch people. Watch their hand gestures. Watch the things that they do with their hands when they're talking. Because a lot of times, there's stuff that's saying more than what you think it is. And I'm not saying what he's doing or not, but if you watch some stuff, more stuff that I bring, you guys will start to notice some of these things. So, anyways, okay, in defense of the people that I've listened to that say what that term akata mean, it doesn't really mean a cotton picker. It kind of just means something to separate yourself from, or American blacks, or they're just not African, they're American blacks. And from what we know, people are told to stay away from us when they come here. Don't really do this. Don't marry their men, because they have their own culture. So I don't take offense to that. They have their own culture. And once we find out about ourselves that we have our own, or we had our own, and we don't even really need to go back and try to find out what they wore, what they did, that's all still a distraction. It starts with here. We're in these times. We're going to have to build something that has to do with here and now, using the things that we have in this day and age in order to achieve these things. If that's what you like to do on your spare time, that's fine. I can't tell you what to do. But I'm saying that the main thing you need to do, like King said, is sign your own, what it says, sign the letters of his name on his own soul or something. So you need to go within. It's an internal thing. It's a spiritual thing. It's a unity type thing. We haven't been able to unite, but we will be able to unite after this information is consumed by everybody and seen for what it is. And if you still want to be African after that, then I just feel like you can just still be that. And, you won't never get to a certain level of understanding, because the numbers just don't add up. It's not my decision. They just don't. But anyways, I just think that term just means black, or a black American, or not African. It could mean lesser than or whatever, or just like ill, So let's just see.
Akata means like a cotton picker or something. And it's a shame because African Americans, and I was born in America, so I consider myself that too. It's like they get the brunt of everybody's hatred, even their own black people that come because they're from the islands or whatever. They come and they shit on African Americans.
And this is true. Okay, this is true, but it's I look at it on a deeper level. And we even do it to each other on a daily basis. We've gotten so low on the totem pole that we have been deceived and we have been tricked enough where the people that look like you, sound like you, been through what you've been through, they so-called came from Africa, but their ancestors said that they had Indian in their family. These people, your brothers and sisters, they done made it so nobody even really have to. The Jewish, the police, nobody even had to put their hand in no more. They just dare to help with the assassination of young, so-called black people or people in general. White people too get killed by them as well. I try to be non-biased. The same things that's happening to us is happening to white people, so-called, in this country too. So it's not time to just cry about what's going on with us. Fix what's going on with you. Go within. But notice that it's going on with everybody. And they have been misled too. Don't feel bad for them. It's not this. But I'm just trying to tell you that everyday so-called white people that live around you don't have no power. And they slaves just like you. It's just they've been given a perception. They've been given a perception that they're up here and you're down here. And so that's the model that we live by. But once you find out that this is your shit and that everybody else is here on yours, it gives you something else. It's a euphoric. It's just a different feeling that you just haven't had, especially if you've done the research and you jog back. I can only go back so far, but I'm happy when people are able to find out, more information. It's confirmation for those that don't believe it at all. So, at the end of the day, I'm sorry, y'all, I keep moving around this chair. But anyways, I just want to say that, let's watch.
Which is on all levels fucked up. Because remember when Amadou Diallo got shot? Amadou got shot 40 times. He was African. You understand? And when that happened, you go, oh, the police don't know what you are. Black is black to them. And it's a shame that the cops have to let us know what we are when we can't just join together and be like, hey, I'm black, we're black, we all come from the same root. We got to sit there separating each other.
And see, that's another thing that... It really irks me sometimes when I hear that we come from the same root. Now, I can kind of understand that because doing research that is not mainstream information that you're learning in your schools and your colleges, but if you can go back to books from the 1500s on up to maybe the 1800s, things took a large shift then when they were able to put certain things the way they wanted. But if you go back in older books, you can find even white men, so-called white men, saying things about black people being in America already. So they just didn't get picked because they didn't want to conform to whatever society wanted them to say. Same thing with all your doctors and your CDC workers and all your people in the pharmaceutical industries that know the truth. They've done the research. You could be all the scientists that you want to be. But if that person that wants to push that drug because they know it's going to make them a lot of money says that if you tell them it's killing people and they send you back something else and say, well, tweak it, you can't tweak it. And they ask you again, if it's killing people, you're going to change, or do you want your job? You see what I'm saying? Then which one are you going to choose? For me, I'd choose the other way. And for me, I say that with the hardest feeling in my heart, but I know that you cannot say what you will do about anything until you get into that circumstance. But I feel I will never, if you asked me today and you gave me the option without taking my life or killing one of my kids, it won't happen. So, bottom line. And if it's something real serious, that's a matter of the heart, and I had to see what I need to do. So, in that case, the whole thing with, and I forgot where I was at because, let's see.
Out of sit there separating each other, but the cops are popping us off.
Yeah, separating each other. This is our problem. We have been trying to attach ourselves to Africa. Nobody African has done anything for us, and we really haven't done anything for Africa, but America has done things for Africa. The resources we have done things for Africa, going to Africa to do things. And I don't trust all these people like Bill Gates and his foundation to give my kids no damn shots. But What I'm saying is there has been help sent from the Americas. Now, it may not be directly from us because we don't have the resources or the ability to do so because of where we're coming from and what has been done about the oppression that we've gone through, and we haven't had those gestures or not handouts, but we haven't been given those goodness, really? We don't have the loans, and we don't have the grants and all the other things that we would need in order to go do much in Africa. Put it like that. And in Africa, most of the places, from what I hear, have most of the countries have black leaders already. So in our case, we haven't had that, and even if we have, they've been compromised by higher powers. If you can understand what I'm saying. And I don't like to take the underdog and say, oh, but we didn't have this and we didn't, because now at this point in time, if we don't do the information and we don't want to know more for our children and their futures, it's nobody else to blame at this point but you. There's nobody else to blame. If you cannot wake up and see what's going on and how it's been planned and carefully calculated, with reading, okay, now everybody is different when it comes to what they believe in religiously. I believe that we turned our God in for their version of it a long time ago, and that you can find, and when you get to a certain level of doing this research and you get into this deep spiritual place, and I'm not even all the way there. I'm just saying it when the spirit starts guiding you, you're going to be looking at that book in a totally different way. Like, where was this at? So you're going to be able to see things a lot differently when you get to a certain point in your journey. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, let's see.
You feel me? And why does that have to be the equalizer? Oh, this African guy got shot. Oh, this black guy. And Africans cannot talk shit about African Americans because in Africa, the Europeans shit on the Africans. The Lebanese that move into Nigeria that have been there since 40 shit on the Africans. The French shit on the Africans. The Portuguese shit on the Africans. You know what I mean? Africans are shit on daily. The Dutch in
and see, this is why, like I said before, this is why they and just to break off for a second. No, let me finish that point. This is why. Oh my goodness. Y'all done made me lose track of what I was thinking. Let me see.
In South Africa, shit on. They call them kafir. Kafir is a word.
Okay. This is why it's feel uncomfortable to me. Like one of those platforms I was watching, and one of the girls said, I don't know what it is about when people, it makes me cringe when people say, let's go to Africa now while we can and get what we can and blah, 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 blah. And I can see where she's coming from. Because likewise, I cringe when people say they want to go back to Africa if you don't know your real history. Now, if you can find and confirm all the way back in your bloodline, however you're going to do it, I don't know, that's what you do and where you need to go ahead. But do your shit here first. Here first. Start here first. You do your due diligence here first. I'm talking about people from the so-called, that came here so-called in the slave trade. Yeah, but your grandma and them will tell you that you have some Indian in your family. Those people is who I'm talking to. Those are the people that need to look deeper. And while she was saying that she doesn't like the way that sounds, for some reason she don't even know why. Same thing here. I don't know why I don't like the way that sounds, because you belong. A lot of us belong here, and then at the end of the day, they can come here and go to school and take resources from here and bring them back to Africa. But once a so-called, when the guy said something about black people getting together, so-called black people, and going over and investing in property right now while they can, because it's a good place to do so, she was a little bit bothered. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love the fact that everybody's saying what they're saying. But at the same time, you got to be able to see it both ways. And a lot of people, it's hard to even do that for a lot of people in general, because of the way that we've been socially engineered, I think. So, and then another thing I'll say is that Oprah and our famous people seem to like Africa a lot too, because they'll go to Africa and put up all these things and do all these things and all these schools and things, and won't do it here. And like I said before, they'll put up basketball courts and come and visit them frequently or every blue moon or whatever to say hi to the little kids. But again, sports is another thing that I disconnect myself from. I think it's another agenda, another part of their agenda, and it's another distraction. And so, and it's another pipeline too. Pipeline to prison is maybe considered as the schools, and pipeline to the NBA is another way that we are stripping us of greatness. We're better than that. We're better than that. So, anyways, that's going to help them find more basketball players for their teams later on. So, but I mean, what else have you done in your community? Any of these rich people, they don't. They'll go and build a whole city and town over in Africa, but they just cannot or will not do it here. So,
in South Africa, kafir, you kafir. They say they shit on us. In India, kala. The Indians live in Africa. Kala. That's the word you.
And see, Indians, he said the Indians, and Indians live in Africa. Pretty sure they probably do. I mean, because I think that whole thing is Africa. But at the end of the day, there was indigenous people everywhere. So I think that the African, they feel that the reason why they feel they can come here and tell us something is because they feel like the mother and they're still attached to the motherland. So we are their children and they're coming over here to say, this is what you're not doing, da 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 da. When we have been stripped of everything and everybody else have been able to keep a little bit of their culture and being surrounded by people that look like them and on a fair playing field, but life ain't fair. It's time for us to get the information and get up off our ass and do something about it. But at the end of the day, y'all know that's my favorite thing to say, especially just in this video. Lost my track of thought again.
The Indians used to call derogatory shit to.
Okay, so we have to know too that indigenous people were everywhere on this earth, and it seems that a lot of Pan-Africans and a lot of other people agree with that, or the people with the whole Egypt thing or whatever. A lot of people believe this thing, but when it comes to America, what's the difference? Everybody believed that dark-skinned people was all around the world, but for some reason they cannot grasp America. That's how good they did. That's how good the job that they did on our brains is, on our mindset, on common sense. You know what I'm saying? So if America was filled with dark-skinned people too, why would they pretend like the people from here was light-skinned with so-called European hair? And then go to Africa and get more people and bring them here. If you knew that the people was here was dark already, would you already just believe automatically when somebody bring you the information and the numbers from the slave voyages? Would you then be able to see that maybe, since I see now that in 1600s the people was dark and looked like this, but somewhere in the 1800s they changed to this, and then they made up Native American people because there was no such thing back then, and then Hollywood gave you the perception that they wanted to give you, and so you've got that stored in your brain. You don't go anywhere further than that. With Alex Haley and his lie, we all found out that he was plagiarizing. He took that story from some white man and called it his own, and he lied about it for a long time. They made a lot of money off of it, and the best thing that they did was that's the only movie that they really had to make in order to get you to believe in the whole slavery thing, the slave trade, and the out of Africa theory. So at the end of the day, let's just wake up. Let's just start paying attention. Let's just start paying attention. It's important. It's important. We have children. We want them to have a chance. We're here to break generational curses. I don't care. I'm looking at religion. I'm looking at all of it, and I'm calling it out. But there is truth in the Bible. And if you really do this history, this research, I've been doing it for years, and you look at history, you can even maybe take some of the dates. This is for people that I don't want to really speak on it too much, because I told myself once I get a couple of things together, then I'll share it with you guys. But look back in that book. Start looking at those dates where it says BC, whatever. Get you a Jewish or Hebrew calendar and use that when you're looking at dates in the Bible, because they have you think we're talking about the calendar that we have now. Use that. Use the history timelines. I'm trying to tell you guys that the history in that book, the story in that book is about colonization. It's about history. It's about American history at that. Look into it. I can't tell you much, but I promise you, when I get these things knocked out, I want at least a list of 10. I want to bring them to you guys, and I'll share them with you if you're interested in it. But just want to say thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.
I mean, come on. Africans coming to to America, Caribbeans trying to act like they're better than African Americans is the dumbest shit, because most of these Africans and Caribbeans come to America because their countries are fucked up. You see me? Their countries are fucked up, run by black people who are fucked up. So that you have a lot of